I've been a game developer for about 2.5 years at this point, and in that time I've made a lot of games. And not to brag, but I've made the undisputed greatest video game of all time. I even made a video on how to achieve my level of greatness. You might be wondering where Skibidi Toilet fits into this, but that's a secret for later. Number 10, Burst. This was the first video game I ever made. It all started when me and my brother entered into a 2-week game jam. The theme was unstable. Having no experience, we decided to make a pretty simple game. It's an arcade shooter roguelike where you play as a balloon and shoot at the enemies with your air. A balloon only has so much air in it, so the twist is that the more you fire, the more health you lose. I have no idea how much progress we made in that 2 weeks, but we submitted a playable version of our beloved dumpster fire with 2 seconds left for submission. Wait, did I say playable? I meant completely unplayable, because instead of submitting a version of the game, we accidentally submitted the source code of the entire project. Also, I want to point out that I named the file name Balloon Rouge-like instead of Balloon Roguelike. Thankfully, that version of Burst is properly lost to time, so nobody has to play it. But, like a lot of new developers, we decided to continue developing the Game Jam game. 2 inexperienced developers, and making a pixel art roguelike? Wowie! That's the greatest recipe for success of all time. Surprisingly, this game had a lot of internal issues. A, we were both horrible at coding. A simple enemy could take a week to make, and a simple bug could take days to fix. B, we were using slave labor to make the art and code. This may seem like a good thing at first. After all, free labor is the best labor. But the issue was that I was the slave. During our development sessions together, I would work on the game, and he would boss me around and read the Berserk manga. And C, the concept was complete garbage. It's literally just a regular roguelike, but the gimmick is that it's less fun. Thankfully, after 3 months, the game burst in on itself and we canceled the project. You can probably tell why it's this low, but you know, we learned a lot and there were some good times in there. Number 9. That was weird. I think I just blacked out for a second. Number 8, Sun Carrier. This was another game made for a game jam. Me and my brother entered this jam about a year later than the other one, and the theme was 2 dimensions. This game doesn't exist. The only thing that was made was this awesome image shown here for concept art. But the gist of the game is that there are 2 worlds, but in one of the worlds, the sun explodes. So you would have to carry the other world's sun between the 2 worlds over and over, so neither world freezes to death. To show you how little was done, I literally just made up the name Sun Carrier for this video. It didn't even have a placeholder name before it was canned. I was the main reason why this project was an instant failure. I was being pretty insensitive to my brother. Now you might be wondering, if this game didn't even start, how is it not at the bottom? The answer is just that it was mostly a blip on the radar, so there were less problems as a whole than whatever you would call Burst's development. Number 7, Topsy Turvy. The one and only board game I ever attempted to make.
It's a 2-player card game where each player tries not to fall off a cliff by using their cards efficiently. The board itself is 21 spaces in a row, and you have 4 cards at the start: add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and you roll the dice to decide how
blah blah blah. Basically, this game was just super boring and almost impossible to lose. Also, the cards had math symbols on them. Let's be real, ain't nobody want to do math in a board game. People like this idiot, who totally isn't me, showcase that math and board games don't mix. Alright, all I need is a decent roll and I'll be back on my feet. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6.
Seriously, you thought I wouldn't notice that? Again with the cheating. Just stop. You're clearly gonna lose.
Who could imagine what could happen if that guy with the very attractive voice and probably very attractive face played Topsy-Turvy? I put this game at 7 because the number 7 kinda looks like a cliff, which is what you want to avoid in the game, based off real life where you also want to avoid cliffs. Number 6. There is no number 6. I don't like that number. The number 6 doesn't deserve anything, let alone my beautiful creations. And let's be real, odd numbers are just better. 3, 5, 7? These are some top tier numbers. Even 9 and 1 aren't too bad either. But 6, 4, 2? Who even likes those numbers? Sure, 0 and 8 are pretty good, but they can't carry the weight of the others. Anyway, number 5, the most mysterious and bad boy number of them all. For this reason, I won't disclose much about this game yet. All I'll say is that it's related to cells. Here's some concept art I made for it that might give you some hints on what the game is about. maybe, just maybe, if you like and subscribe and hit the bell icon, then I'll make a separate video about it. Although, to be honest, I'm gonna make the video anyway, but I would appreciate it. Number 4. Number 3. I feel a dark presence. Number 2. Rent to Defense is up next. Rent to Defense. This is by far the biggest project I've ever made. Taking a whopping 1.5 years to release to itch.io, Rent to Defense is a traditional tower defense game but with a twist. Instead of buying a tower being a one and done deal, you have to pay for that worker over many waves. You also have to manage your workers' anger, or else the workers' unions will come after you. There's a variety of agents, workers, and enemy types to deal with that make the gameplay fun. I thought of the twist of paying your workers to protest the slave labor that I went through while making Burst. Rent to Defense is also the game that's been playing a lot in the background. Making this game was like running a marathon with no shoes, with my toes all vulnerable to rocks, glass, bugs, and weirdos on the internet. But I pulled through, my toes unsneeded, seated, and feeded. Not to brag, but since my most recent video I've made a grand total of $4 from itch.io. I have a lot more to say about the development of the game, but pretty much everything is noted in the Rent to Defense devlog series on my channel, so I'm keeping it brief for this video. Rent to Defense wasn't lightning in a bottle, but was instead fart in a jar. I touch on that more in my previous video about how I made no money, but the gist is that the idea was kinda like Burst, with it being essentially a tower defense game but less fun. I had to build a ton of stuff to make the gimmick of the game fun, way more than if I had done a different idea. And honestly, for a mostly solo developer, it was a bigger project than I should have taken on. Now how can this project, the one that I worked on for a year and a half, the one that, if I died, would say is my biggest life achievement, not first on the list? Well, you see, it's actually because my head is turning me into Skibidi dop dop dop, yes yes, Skibidi dop dop, yeah. Now you might be wondering why I even put Skibidi Toilet in the video. I thought it was kind of funny when I was thinking of the video title and I just put Skibidi warning at the end of it and it just went from there. Making a thumbnail this dumb was insanely fun. I did do my Skibidi research though. I watched 30 entire episodes of Skibidi Toilet and honestly, I kinda liked it. But after a while it gave me a headache, so I flushed it out of my Skibidi system. Like a toilet. Skibidi dop dop dop, yes yes. Okay, for real, I'm done. Thanks for watching. Bye.